Caleb Williams just hit, I think, DJ Moore down to the 30, spiked the ball, 3 seconds left. I mean, Aaron, what's the problem here with what's going on with the refs? Why is Williams guys arm around
I'm
this
not
guy?
sure.
They're in range here. I mean, right? I mean, listen, you never know with these kickers. They're outdoors. They're in Chicago, etc. But, Joe, they're going to have a crack at this to tie this game.
Yeah, they are. And it was a 50-something yard field goal, and they got it. They ended up getting it, but I don't know if somebody called. Oh, Minnesota didn't have any more timeouts, so they couldn't ice them. So it's tied, 27 apiece.
Wow. Now, let me ask you this.
I thought Minnesota
Joe.
was going to call a timeout, but they don't have any more timeouts.
Not going to lie to you here, though, Joe. If you had the 3.5, you might have wanted him to miss right there. you might have wanted him to miss.
Well,
if you had the Bears,
any defense except for the Bears. I think a field goal game is going to win this one way or the other. But they are home, don't forget the Bears, too. So
that could go from a great backdoor cover to an even more wild non-cover, depending on what happens in this overtime. You never.
Well, this is where Sam Darnold comes in, right?
Well, Darnold's out, right? Did he come back in, or is it Nick Mullins?
No, he came back in. Yep, he came back in.
Well, Justin Jefferson's always one pass away, Joe. So he's always one pass away.
Where has he been today, though? What are his numbers, Carver? What are his numbers?
What now? What is happening here? Don't tell me.
Yeah,
this.
the Commanders just tied it up as well. Yes.
Is it McLaurin? It is McLaurin. Wow.
No. Yes.
It's McLaurin.
Yes. But I'll tell you this here. No, I'll tell you this, Carver. I go for 2 if I'm Washington. I go for 2 right now and end the game.
Quinn's holding the one up.
Of course he is, and that's why they're not going to get it. And that's why they're going to doink it, and that's going to be the end of it.
Now, you said this kicker has been he's missed a bunch of kicks today. He's missed a bunch of kicks. Wow. Daniels to McLaurin. 27-26.
But they're still not going to cover, though, folks. So there's still nothing at stake here from the cover. If you took Dallas, you win. The only thing that people who might have had Washington in survivor pools are sweating bullets right now.
Wow.
Sweating bullets.
Yeah. Cowboy, unbelievable. Now, watch this, Joe. Are you ready for this one? I believe he missed it, Joe.
What'd I tell you?
Missed it.
What did I tell you?
Missed it.
What did I tell you? Yep. Make sure you mark this tape, and when we said you need to go for 2 and end it as opposed to relying on this guy to kick it, serves you right, Dan Quinn. It's why you deserve to lose this game. Unreal. You had Dallas's defense talking to itself, and you could have punched it in at any. With Daniels, you could have run it in on his own, and you'd have been fine.
Joe, he wasn't even close. I mean, he missed it by a mile. It wasn't even like he
hasn't been close all day.
It was 15 feet to the left. He wasn't even in the zip code of making that kick. That is wild. Now, this is a pretty good finish we had today, Joe. I mean, you said these games were but between the Bears, Vikings, and the Cowboys in Washington, those are and even Houston, Tennessee was pretty zany as well there towards the end of it. We had some good finishes here in this early. And they're not done. Chicago, Minnesota just starting the overtime. So you still have that still to come. But that is nuts.
Unreal.
To lose with that. That's crazy.
But Carver, he looked like a golfer, and you'll appreciate this, Carver. He looked like a golfer that missed a 2-foot birdie putt on the first hole and then looked like a deer caught in the headlights the rest of the round. And you're going to rely on him to make a putt on the 18th to get the win? Like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Did you see what he looked like after he hit that? Like, he knew it wasn't going in, that kicker. Unbelievable. Way to go, Dan Quinn.
You can't make it up. You really can't.
Well, he's got the yips. He's got the
yips. I'll tell you what he's not going to have, Joe. Not going to have a job tomorrow, probably, is what he's not going to have, because he's going to be out there in Washington. So they're going to overtime. Washington's going to try for the onside kick. We just saw the Bears get one. So I guess nothing's completely out of the question. And Cowboys are going to – this guy's going to return this? He's going to bring this back.
Yes, he is. He just took it to the house. I can't. Carver, you can't make it up, man. You can't make it up.
Now, just remember something here, Joe. Like, I guess the one puts him up. We'll only put him up 8, right? Still technically a one-score game. Why aren't we going down at that point? But either way, it is. Just remember, this game was 3-3 at halftime. Washington and Dallas. It was 3-3 at halftime. Another bad one if you had the under in this game between Dallas and Washington. Yeah, but so am I
going for 2 here? Like, Dallas needs that guy to fall down. Like, that's what he needed to do.
He should have never returned that. He needed to fall and the game's over. They take a knee and the game's finished. He's opened up other things now. Like, we've seen some wild stuff in the last few minutes. Joe, tremendous
We just saw an 80-yard touchdown.
Just saw one. We have Scott Wetzel, Joe Madden, and Adam Kaufman who will take you through the late games. Joe is actually with me tomorrow on Pharrell Coast to Coast with Scotty out, and we'll have a lot to go through, Joe. All those things. We made notes today. We make sure to bring up all this like that. Great job by Frank the Tank and the rest of the group. In-game live, we're back after this.
Chris Cyborg, 39 years of age.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Carlos Alcaraz has won the last 2 Grand Slam titles at the French Open on the clay and at Wimbledon earlier this summer. He enters as the favorite.
You have a bunch of depth there. Francis Tiafoe, Ben Shelton. They will likely play in round 3. The winner would play Djokovic most likely, which would be an incredible match. I like Ben Shelton as a sleeper. If Djokovic is hurt, you never know. I think Shelton could actually be the guy that gets hot. The conditions favor him.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared.
What's up, everybody? Welcome in. This is In Game Live, Pro Football Game Day here on SportsGrid. And my goodness, what a Week 12 in the NFL it has already been, and we are not even close to done. Of course, going back to Thursday, the dogs were barking early, an outright upset in what looked like blizzard conditions in Cleveland as the Browns knocked off the Steelers, and that was just the beginning. How about the Chiefs bouncing back from their first loss of the year to survive? Yes, survive barely the Carolina Panthers down south. Upsets to mystify you, truly. We had the Titans, the Will Levis-led Titans, knock off the Texans in Houston, no less, which is certainly not good for C.J. Stroud and company in their bid trying to win that division, the AFC South. Lions did what they were supposed to. So obviously did the Buccaneers with Tommy DeVito, Tommy Cutlets on the other side. The Dolphins took care of business against the Patriots. But we've got overtime right now between the Vikings and the Bears, and the Commanders well on their way to falling to the Cowboys with Cooper Rush at the helm for Dallas. But that is only just scratching the surface. We got another game in the late window just underway, and 2 more set to begin momentarily. So I am Adam Kaufman. Let us bring in Scott Wetzel and Joe Madden with your same game parlays.
All right, guys, I'll go first. I'm going to use the Seattle-Arizona game that's going to kick off here in just a couple of moments. I think Seattle's going to win. You know, they open up today as a -1, 1.5-point dog. I saw as early as, 10 minutes ago they were, or a favorite rather. Now they're an underdog. So we're just using it as pick'em. Seattle pick'em against Arizona. I like the over 46.5, 47.5. Again, depending on what number you have, I think we're going to get some points in this game. Love James Conner over 66.5 yards rushing for Arizona. Seattle's got one of the worst rushing defenses in the NFL. Conversely, Arizona's got one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL, so give me DK Metcalf over 64.5 yards receiving. Add it all up, and depending on when you put it in, what numbers you have, Joe, I got a nice 9.5 to 1 on my SGP. What about yours?
Joe, what do you have?
Great. She's got a closed mic. That's what she has. Don't hear, so take it away there, Adam.
We might have Joe muted, so we'll, there she is.
There we go.
What do you have, Joe?
Okay, so I've got a 3-leg touchdown scorer prop in this one between the 49ers and the Green Bay Packers. My 3 favorite players to get those touchdowns are Romeo Doubs at +240, Jordan Love for the touchdown at +490, and George Kittle for the touchdown at +300. When we combine them together, +65.39, you guys. I really do think the points are coming in this matchup today, and those are my 3 favorites to get in the end zone, Adam.
All right, those games just getting underway. And guys, let's start with this San Francisco and Green Bay game. Of course, we've seen so much line movement in this one from where it originally opened, which, as we know, quite a while ago, where the Niners were, I believe it was 2.5-point favorites. It swung all the way to Green Bay being favored by 5.5 points with the news that Brock Purdy, of course, not playing today for San Francisco. And so, this is a favorite selection of a lot of people. I'm sure a segment of people still alive in their survivor pools, though it wasn't immensely popular going with Green Bay and Circus Survivor. The 2 most popular plays in that one were actually the Commanders, who are about to let down about a third of that pool, which is pretty incredible, and the Dolphins. But the Packers, they were, part of the mix. And, Jordan Love and company at Lambeau. It's, what's the view here, Scott, of this contest? I mean, there's no free money, as we know. There's nothing automatic. There are no locks in gambling. That being said, how good do you feel about Green Bay pulling this one out against a very, injury-plagued Niners team that is still playing for its season, really?
Yeah, let me just say that I just saw a Hail Mary by Washington that almost actually hit again. Same thing as the Hail Mary they had against the Bears. Ball came down right around the 5-yard line or so, ricocheted towards the end zone. This time there was a Dallas Cowboy player there. Although there were 1 or 2 Washington players there, but it went to him rather than a Redskin or Commander, and Dallas does win the game. But that would have been just crazy, just crazy. Listen, I'm a little surprised they went with Brandon Allen, not Joshua Dobbs. I'd have more confidence in Joshua Dobbs doing well. I think Green Bay wins by double digits today.
Joe?
Yeah, I'm rolling here with those props, you guys. I do think the Packers will get the points on the board. I'm looking for them to go over their team total 25.5, but have a whole lot more than I'm liking out there, Adam.
All right, so the Commanders do end up falling to Dallas. Dallas, sorry if you had Washington in Survivor. You're out. You're done.
two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on Sports Grid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on Sports Grid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on Sports Grid.
So as we keep an eye on the 4 games in the NFL that are going on right now, really two barely underway, one that is, I'll just update you here. The Cardinals, the Seahawks, they're scoreless. Niners, Packers, same deal. Each of those games about 5 minutes in. Broncos, Raiders, no score as well. That game has 6 minutes to go in the opening quarter. The Packers did just get to the San Francisco 15, 3rd and 1 after a Jacobs run, and so points could be coming in that one at Lambeau. But Vikings, Bears, that's certainly the interesting one. 27 apiece, Minnesota ball. It is in overtime at this moment. And Darnold moving the ball to Justin Jefferson for 20 yards, which is noteworthy. Not that Jefferson had a 20-yard gain. Feels like that happens all the time. But going into the OT, Justin Jefferson had 1 catch for 7 yards through 4 quarters. So a non-factor. It's been Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones, TJ Hawkinson, anyone but Justin Jefferson so far today. But, maybe that ends up changing in the extra session, obviously. But one of the biggest, craziest losses of the game was just completed, or of the day, just completed moments ago, and that was the Commanders at home, 10.5-point favorites, falling, not covering, falling outright to the Dallas Cowboys, who absolutely stink, obviously. That is a huge loss for the Washington Commanders, and we can talk more about it as it relates to the playoffs, the race for the division championship in the NFC East as well, with the Eagles, who play later on. But, Joe, we were just talking off air, and, the Dogs and the double-digit favorites especially, the Dogs have just had a way of knocking off these teams throughout the year.
Yeah, we look at double-digit favorites going into today, Adam. They were 5-0 straight up and 5-0 against that spread. So we've seen these big favorites come out and cover, but that was broken today. And this was the first time since 1950 we have seen teams that were double-digit favorites go so strong. It hasn't happened since then, going 5-0 straight up and against that spread. But then it happened first. The Panthers were able to cover the spread versus Kansas City Chiefs, who are a double-digit favorite, and then the Dallas Cowboys able to win it straight up versus the Washington Commanders, who were a double-digit favorite. So that trend is gone. The favorites now starting to fall in those situations. I still can't believe the Cowboys came out and won that. They were a complete fade for me. I ulted their numbers because I ulted their numbers versus the Texans, expecting them to have another terrible loss, and it looked like it was going to start out that way when we saw, the missed points being put on the board, the block punts, but Washington just couldn't get their offense going.
Yeah, I tell you, really, if you look at the numbers, Jaden Daniels really has not been good for a number of weeks now. I mean, listen, he's a great story. Not saying anything about his career and what's going to happen from here on out. But if you just look at pure numbers, the numbers he put up today, 90% of those, 80% of those literally came in the fourth quarter when they were down 2 scores and Dallas was playing the oh-by-the-way defense. 80 came on one play with McLaurin with the long touchdown pass. Otherwise, he was awful today. That Washington offense, which had scored the most points in franchise history up until this point, has really been just mediocre at best. 3 straight losses. You could excuse the previous 2, Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, but losing at home, Adam, you can't lose at home to the Dallas Cowgirls. I mean, if you want to be a real playoff team and be taken seriously, to me, this drops them from that. Listen, they're still a good story, probably still make the playoffs, but are they going to contend really in the playoffs playing like this? No, not at all. I mean, 200 yards passing. He ends up with 274 today, but again, he had about $120 heading into that fourth quarter with 5 minutes left. That offense had done absolutely nothing. So I'd be just a little concerned if I'm a Washington fan of how the season has turned these last 3 weeks.
With respect to this specific game, and I don't want to, put too much attention, obviously, on one player going down, especially when it's not like a Christian McCaffrey level player. But Brian Robinson got hurt in the first series of the game, hung around a little bit, but largely ineffective. And by halftime, he was done. He only ran the ball 5 times for 13 yards, had a catch or 2, 1 catch for 11 yards, finished at 24 total yards in this one. And I bring that up because I know that he's a little boomer bust, although he's been better in recent weeks. But this is a Cowboys team that has allowed 18 rushing touchdowns coming into this game this year. Another one today with Jaden Daniels walk in when he did, but he was the leading rusher, 7 for 74. They only ran the ball 25 times in this whole game, had 145 yards. Scott, do they win this game if Robinson stays out there?
I don't think so. And I'll tell you the other story with this, Adam, is McLaurin. Now, again, final numbers, 5 for 102 with 1 touchdown. That's pretty good. What are you going to complain about that, right? But remember last week, he had just the 1 reception in the loss. This week, midway through the fourth quarter, he only had 1 reception. And the guys on TV were justifying by saying, well, they're lining him up on the one side, they're not huddling, and that helps the defense. And, listen, you can make every excuse in the world, but you got your best wide receiver, and through a game and a half plus, he's got 1 reception. So he had the long one, but there's something, maybe it's Robinson, maybe he's the key to it all, and we don't appreciate that, but this Washington offense has just been off kilter these last 3 weeks.
What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I look at that game and I think Jaden Daniels isn't 100%. We were talking pre-show about him and about his ribs, and ever since that injury, we just haven't seen him out there looking as strong. You saw him walking away from the huddle a couple of times, and he's taking smaller steps. I think once he gets back, once those ribs are at 100%, he is going to be back to that quarterback that we trust out there. I was just watching the Denver Broncos are in the red zone right now, looking to put that touchdown on the board. We did see a touchdown out there by Kraft for the Packers. They now lead the 49ers 7-0. And yeah, the Denver Broncos, 3rd and 16 in Las Vegas is on their 20-yard line. So let's see if Bo Nix is able to get something done here, you guys.
Vikings are about to win as well in overtime. That's a tough loss for the Bears, Adam.
Just did 30-27. So Minnesota. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, for anyone that was on Minnesota in this one -3, then obviously, you push, you get your money back. But if you did get the Bears at +3.5, as a lot of people did, then good on you, obviously, because you just barely got the job done. But what do we think of just this as an outcome? I think there are a lot of people. We talked about this on the show last night, Brady Cannon and I, about how look, I don't think a lot of people would dispute Minnesota being a better team than Chicago, but this certainly, when you sort of look back to how we were talking about the Vikings, Joe, earlier in the year and that 5-0 start and how they've played since, looking a little fraudulent, looking like a team that, look, they'll be in the playoffs and they should be a playoff team, but not a team that I'm really, I've gotten that upper tier of teams that I should really be considering as a championship contender.
I don't know. They didn't do as good against the pass here today as I would have liked this defense to do. We saw Caleb Williams throw for 340 yards, and we saw Sam Darnold go for 330. Both of these teams, I do think, really played a strong game today, and I like the back and forth battle. I did expect more out of the quarterbacks in regards to both of them rushing that ball a little bit more themselves with their legs. Sam Darnold only -1 yards. He had 2 attempts there. Caleb Williams, 33 yards on 6 carries. So I expected more out of them in that way, but I don't think the Minnesota Vikings are fraudulent. I know Sam Darnold hasn't looked as great over the last couple games, but no interceptions today. So that was definitely a positive. They have so many elements of this team that have been strong. We need that defense to start forcing those interceptions and those fumbles again. And I have no concerns about the Minnesota Vikings. They still got the win today, you guys. They might not have got the cover, but this is a solid team.
Yeah, listen, I kind of agree with you, Joe. I think we were all shocked about how good they were. And listen, they beat legitimate teams. They beat San Francisco, Houston, Green Bay, back to start the season outside of a win against the Giants. They've won 4 in a row. They just won all 3 on a 3-game road trip. No great teams, Jacksonville, Tennessee, now Chicago, but all on the road. They won 4 straight. They got the next 3 at home against Arizona, Atlanta, Chicago. I think they're going to go back to winning big in those games, and we'll be more impressed.
Well, that wraps up the early window, not in terms of us discussing it, but the outcomes. 3 games going, 3-0 Denver leading at Vegas. Packers up 7-0 on the Niners.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on Sports Grid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on Sports Grid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on Sports Grid.
Back here on In-Game Live, Pro Football Game Day with Scott Wetzel, Joe Madden. I am Adam Kaufman. Later on, Brady Cannon is going to join us, help us break down Sunday Night Football. Should be a fun one, too. We got a great game tonight. Eagles-Rams, obviously a very important game for both these teams. One more secure in its playoff future than the other. The Rams still fighting for their season, not unlike the Niners in that same NFC West division right now, although it feels pretty wide open. I don't think anyone views the Arizona Cardinals as a lock to win that division or even necessarily to hold on for a wild card spot. Meanwhile, Philadelphia really can create some distance here, some opportunity at 8-2 after the Commanders upset at home as double-digit favorites by the Dallas Cowboys today. Again, 34-26 that game, and that drops the Commanders to 7-5. So mathematically still in reach of winning that division, but the Eagles can certainly say something about that tonight. We will have an opportunity to preview that game later on. Philadelphia entering as a 3-point favorite. Fascinating spot, a lot of interesting angles to it. Cardinals, Seahawks, they are scoreless right now. Seattle with the ball, and that game is in the Northwest. 5 minutes to go in the opening quarter. Packers have taken a 7-0 lead with that Kraft touchdown. Jordan Love, 4 of 5 for 37 yards. Pack has the ball, 7-0 again, the advantage. About 5 minutes to go in the opening quarter in that one. And big surprise, Broncos, Raiders involved in a low-scoring game. 3-0 at the end of one, Raiders with the ball. Gardner Minshew against Bo Nix in this contest. So let's pick it up with that, Scott. And this game, expectations going into it, obviously. Raiders are in the red zone. I mentioned that because right now, obviously no points on the board just yet, but with the Broncos leading, they are 3.5-point favorites on the live line, and that is with the built-in expectation that points are coming here for Las Vegas. Would you do it?
Yeah, I like them. You know what? I know they lost to Denver earlier this year, but the Raiders had beaten the Broncos 8 straight. They're 12-2 against the spread. Their last 14 against Denver. And I just think, the ups and downs of these mediocre teams, and you may want to say Raiders are not even that, but I think they are mediocre up and down. They looked awful last week. As a Dolphin fan, I watched a lot of that game. Couldn't play much worse than what they ended up doing. But I think that puts them in a perfect spot here. And you couldn't have played any better than what the Broncos played last week, right at home, just crushing Atlanta. So you got the perfect storm here. One team that played over its head, another team that played under its head, and pushed the line all the way up to 5.5, 6, 6.5. I think the Raiders can win this thing outright. You're getting a few extra bucks now. You got to figure at worst they're going to kick a field goal here and tie the game. So give me the plus. It's up to 215 right now. I'll take the Raiders. I think they can win, Adam. I do. What about you, Joe?
Ooh, I have to go against you here, Scott. I can't trust Gardner Minshew and this Raiders team. There's so many problems out there. I do think Brock Bowers, though, gets in the end zone for them. I love this kid and what he brings to the offense here for the Raiders. But when I look at the Denver Broncos and what Bo Nix is doing out there on the field, I took him for over his passing yards. It was 221.5 coming into this. He's already got 77 yards passing, and that number has bumped all the way up to 252.5. I think you've lost the best value of that number. I think it's going to finish somewhere between the original and that number. It's now bumped all the way up to 255.5. I tell you, if that hits 260, I'll be tempted to look to the under. But again, I don't want to fade a quarterback that I trusted going into this one. I think Bo Nix can rush it into the end zone himself. You're getting that at plus 320 for him to do so. He's been solid with his legs. I think Sean Payton really has this Denver team believing. I love what their defense is able to bring to the table. The defensive touchdown here at plus 700. Again, Gardner Minshew put in those situations where he's having to throw that ball deep. You just can't trust him not to throw that interception. And with Denver's defense, I do think, even though this is a divisional matchup, they're on the road, that they can cover the spread because their defense comes up big. So, sorry, Scott, I hate to go against you in this one. Adam, you're going to be a tiebreaker here for us.
Look, I think the Broncos are going to win the game. I would have been inclined to jump in the 3.5. We've seen movement. Obviously, it's now sitting at 5.5, despite the Raiders being first and goal at the Denver 6. I'm a little bit surprised by that, but it is at even money. It's locked up now, so maybe that means touchdown coming and the line will push back down. I think ultimately Denver does win this one. I'm a little surprised how much I respect what Bo Nix and company have been doing under Sean Payton of late. I just think that little, I guess, of the Raiders in part. But the Broncos, I don't watch this team and think playoff team, even though, half the conference ends up making it. I just think that ultimately they do fall out, they fall short, but there's no question that Bo Nix has exceeded first-year expectations. Part of it is sort of the expectations that were created for him in that opening stretch of games where he was anything but impressive. But, now as Jaden Daniels has still, look, he's going to win offensive. Well, I think he's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's certainly not going to lose it to Bo Nix. That would really surprise me. But as he has sort of, hit something of a rookie wall, or it's the rib injury, or he's just come back down to earth a little bit, he wasn't going to keep doing what he was doing when the Commanders were, scoring what felt like 40 points a game for that, period of games. But who else is there? Like, Drake May is playing great, but the Patriots stink and everything around him stinks. And so he's not, going to capture a whole lot of attention this year, maybe next year. Caleb Williams has certainly taken a step back, and we saw the Bears lose again today. This QB class is a little up and down, and so the fact that Bo Nix is creating this positive attention for a Broncos team that entered the year, Scott, with such low expectations, it's impressive. It's surprising. I just don't think it holds.
Yeah, and that's why I don't think they're going to win today. I really don't. I was a little surprised they were that big of a favorite. I mean, they were almost a touchdown road favorite. I mean, this is one of those games. I think I put them, Adam and Joe, in the same category as Arizona today. They're in spots where if you're a really good football team, you know what? You go to the Raiders and you win the game. Maybe you don't cover, but you win the game and you kind of separate yourself from the rest of the pack. Indianapolis lost, so they can build a nice 2-game lead in the wild card race. Same thing with Arizona. If they're really a good team, you go to Seattle, you win. You have the Rams lose Monday night against Sunday night against Philadelphia tonight, and then now you got a 2-game lead. I don't think either one's going to happen. I don't.
Minshew did get his Raiders on the board, a touchdown pass to Amir Abdullah, and so it is 7-3 Las Vegas. Early second quarter, long way to go. Still 13 minutes and change remaining in the opening half, but Broncos back to -3.5, and like we talked about before, that is the spot that I would jump on.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun. I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on Sports Grid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on Sports Grid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim to make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on Sports Grid.
Adam Scott Joe back with you here on Sports Grid. If you are watching on Sports Grid TV or listening on Sirius XM channel 159, Sports Grid Radio, we thank you for consuming us however you are, even obviously on social media. See you out there in the Twitter sphere watching the feed. Thank you very much. So, Packers have added a field goal. It's 10-0 Green Bay at home against the Niners. That live line has ballooned. If you believe in, you have any faith whatsoever in the Niners coming back to at least make the game interesting, plus 12.5 right now for San Francisco. Cardinals Seahawks still scoreless. The Cards entered this one a virtual pick'em, and that's where we sit right now, minus 1.5 for Arizona. And Broncos back with the ball after allowing that Abdullah touchdown, minus 3.5 point favorites for Denver in Las Vegas. Again, Eagles-Rams, Sunday Night Football. That one is hours away. We'll talk about it a little bit later on. But let's focus in, Joe, on this Packers and Niners game. So, again, after the field goal, we already have a 10-point game. Would you do anything here? You know, do you invest in Green Bay at minus 12.5, thinking it's only going to get uglier? Or do you believe in San Francisco to any degree? Or sort of the boring option for our audience, but, you know, boring happens. Do you just stay away and sit and observe?
You know what? It's hard to jump in on the Packers laying 12.5. I can't believe in them there. I didn't lay the 5.5 with this team coming into this game because you look at the 49ers. This is kind of a pivotal game here for them. They have to get the win. If they can't get the win here versus the Packers, they can just kiss their season goodbye. And it's feeling like that is where they're going to go. I looked at the Packers team total over that 25.5 because I do believe in this team to get those points on the board. But I did think Brandon Allen could come out and get something done here with the San Francisco 49ers. If I was jumping on live, I would look at the 49ers plus the 12.5. I don't think this is a blowout at the end. We still have Christian McCaffrey in the backfield, and Christian McCaffrey should be able to get in the end zone today. I took him for 2+ touchdowns. That was coming in at plus 370 or plus 390 pre-game. And I think you still look at it here in this game for him to get the 1 touchdown. It was way too highly juiced, and we know he's strong. Now, Brandon Allen, he had a passing prop of, I believe it was low, you guys. Let me just look at what it is now, because he's only had 1 pass and he's only gone for 9 yards. So that number has dropped. It was just above 200. It's now 192.5. I do think we can get there to the over. I think Brandon Allen can make some big passes down the field. We know he has the weapons down the field out there to get the ball to. I think George Kittle can find the end zone today as well. So live, it's got to be the 49ers plus the points for me in this one, Adam. I just think it's way too many points for the Packers to lay. We know Jordan Love has thrown those interceptions as well. What is it? He's thrown an interception in 9 games, at least 1 in 9 games so far this season. So you know that comes into play today.
Yeah. I tell you, I like Green Bay in this one, guys. I really do. Brandon Allen, you know, realistically, he hasn't played in a football game in 4 years. You know, he had 1 game this year where he took a knee. That was it. Didn't play at all last year. Played in 3 games last year. 2 were taking knees, and 1 was he had 3 passes. You got to go back to 4 years ago before he really played in a football game. And I was watching the Dallas-Washington game, and they were talking about how Cooper Rush had told the announcers he hadn't played last year. And it takes a full game plus to really kind of get acclimated to game speed. I think the same thing's going to happen to Brandon Allen. I'd be careful with those props, Joe, only because you do have Joshua Dobbs as the backup, pretty competent backup. Like I said, I'm surprised they didn't start him, but I wonder how long the hook would be for Brandon Allen. We've had 3 drives in this game, 2 scores for Green Bay and a 3-and-out from San Francisco. This, to me, has got 30-7 written all over it. I think the Packers win easily today.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I'm just looking at it here that ultimately captures my attention is, you know, you could say, boy, the Niners, they're not even putting up a fight. They're down by 10 at the end of 1. I mean, look at time possession. The Packers have had the ball for more than 12 minutes of this game. That's why Brandon Allen only has 1 pass and 1 completion for 9 yards. I mean, granted, they haven't done anything, obviously, in the very limited opportunity they've had. But this has been sustained, methodical drives out of the Packers to, you know, kill clock, obviously produce points as well. But 2.5 minutes, almost not even 3 minutes of possession offensively for the Niners. I think it's pretty clear why they're not winning or even necessarily competing early on in this game. So like we said, at the end of 1, it is 10-0 Green Bay. However, Niners are getting the ball here. And so we'll see what they can do in quarter number 2. If they can do anything, make this thing a little bit interesting. Maybe we'll be laughing about the fact that we didn't pick up San Francisco at plus 12.5, because like Joe said, it's desperation time. It absolutely has to be desperation time. Season on the line just to get into the dance here for the Niners.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on Sports Grid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on Sports Grid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like and be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on Sports Grid.
In-game live pro football game day here on the grid. Again, it is the Packers 10, the Niners nothing. But San Francisco, after a nice return out of Jordan Mason, does have the ball. And so we'll see what Brandon Allen can do with it. Already, just in my ramblings, a couple of completions for 22 yards. So the Kittle has 2 for 17. If anyone has invested in George Kittle, props today. Christian McCaffrey underutilized thus far. He has been targeted one time as 5 yards. He has only run the one time for the one singular yard that he has. So got to get him more involved, obviously, try and establish the run. I know they're not as inclined to run when you're down by 10 points. That being said, it's 10 points. It's the second quarter, very early in the second quarter, and you've one of the biggest weapons in all of the NFL. Run the damn football, especially when Brandon Allen is your quarterback today. So we'll see what the Niners are capable of doing. One turnover by Allen, a fumble earlier that he lost, did contribute to all of that time in possession for the Packers in this game. Some of the other games that are going on right now as well. Broncos down 7-6. Couple of field goals for Denver and clawing back in this one. Cardinals Seahawks guys are still scoreless. Scott, this game is early in the second quarter, and little movement in terms of the spread. Although there has been some. Last time we brought this game up, obviously nothing has changed in terms of the score, but Arizona was -1.5. Now in the live line, the Cardinals, as the Seahawks have the ball, the Cardinals are +1.5. It's locked up on me again here now, so we'll see if that changes in a moment when it unlocks. The total is, obviously shrinking as the game moves along. 34.5 is what we are looking at the moment. Scott, anything you would do with this game?
Yeah, by the way, San Fran punted, so they've yet to get a first down, and they're going to get the ball back midway through the second quarter without any first downs. So be careful when you bet San Fran today. Just that's all I'll say. I really thought, I may be right about that, but I was wrong apparently with the Arizona Seattle game, and that. I thought we'd get some points here. I figured, Gino coming off a terrific game last week, right? Winning in Arizona, playing so well, leading up into this game, coming off a bye. I figured it'd be up and down the field, would be. And here we are early second quarter, and we got no score. So it's down to 34.5. That's a good, 10, 12, 13 points off the original number. A couple quick first touchdowns, we can get that all back. So, I always put a little extra on the side when things don't go my way as I anticipated. Now might be the time where I kind of jump in. Maybe wait a little bit because Seattle's got the ball at their own 9. So maybe that 34.5 can go to like 32.5 maybe, especially if Seattle doesn't, put a drive together here. But I still think we're going to get some points when everything is said and done. Too much offense on this field, too much bad defense on this field to be this low scoring for very much longer.
What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, Scott and I are just on the opposite pages today. It's like we decided to play against each other.
We agreed on everything yesterday for college.
Right?
We agreed on everything yesterday for college.
I know.
We just used up all agreements on, yesterday. So
we did. So yeah, I'm riding.
Hopefully,
with
it was a profitable day for the two of you then.
It was. We did
good.
We did very well yesterday. Knock on wood. Of course,
good.
Yeah,
I
love
back
when
today.
we're thinking alike. When we're thinking different, it always makes me shake my head. But I was on the Arizona Cardinals coming into this. I look at this team. They've won 5 of their last 6. They play such a solid run game, which opens up those big passes for Kyler Murray to move the ball down the field. And I like his arm. Now, Kyler Murray is a smaller quarterback and one that I haven't had a lot of faith in past seasons. But he's really proving this season he can get those nice, big, deep passes. And I do think he'll be able to get them here on the defense of the Seattle Seahawks. I'm with you, Scott, though. I expect more points to come in this game, and I do think they come at some point. So I would wait as well as soon as it hits right around that 32-33 mark, taking it to the over. I expect us to get close to 40 points still in this one. Now, James Conner, I know both of us were high on Scott coming into this game. His prop kickoff was 65.5 rushing yards. Because the Cards rely so heavy on that run game, we have only seen him get 8 rushing yards so far. That prop has dropped down to 49.5. That is where I would attack right now, you guys. I think he, no matter what, can go over. And Scott, it's something we completely agree on. Are you going to agree on the live prop here of 49.5?
Yes, I will. I think we hit some numbers here. Yeah, we're gonna get some. Yeah, that's nothing, right? I mean, when everything is said and done, and you always get generally running backs get more yards second half anyway. They wear down the defense and everything else like that. So yeah, I do like that, Joe.
So once again, 10-0 Green Bay is leading. The live line has moved to minus 13.5. I will say the 12.5 was more appetizing simply because you only need another field goal there just to slide inside that 13. It is at least it was a key number of the situation anyway. And right now, not the case at 13.5. Now you need another touchdown. But again, we got a ways to go. 12 minutes and change left in quarter number 2. Cardinals back to minus 1.5. It's flipped again. And the Raiders 7-6 lead. And with the ball, 9 minutes to go in quarter number 2. So some lower scoring affairs so far after the afternoon chaos that we can go back through some of these games. What I do want to do though is take a look at the updated standings in the NFL, with obviously a lot still to be determined from these games. Eagles, Rams a little bit later on. We have Monday Night Football ahead of us as well. But in terms of the playoff picture right now, Scott and Joe, I'll look at the AFC first. And so 1 through 7, those being the teams that currently sit in playoff spots, knowing that, again, we could see some movement by the end of the day or, certainly by the end of the week. The Chiefs, the Bills, the Steelers, Texans, Chargers, Ravens, Broncos, in that order. You have Miami on the outside, looking in at 5-6, game behind the Denver Broncos as things stand right now. Then the Colts and the Bengals. Colts at 5-7, the Bengals at 4-7. Then after that, obviously, we know, while not officially eliminated, the Browns, the Jets, the Titans, Patriots, and so on. Raiders, Jaguars, forget it, your season's over. Are we at a point I'll just start with this. I know they didn't play today, not playing this week even, but the Bengals sitting at 4-6, knowing that, knowing that their record is what it is, Scott. I mean, are you putting a cutoff in there right now? Like Cincinnati, despite your Herculean efforts to come back in games and your defense not holding up, your season's over. We're whittling down the list in terms of the playoff picture and the teams that we expect to be eligible inside the next couple of weeks.
No, believe it or not, if you would have asked me, like who came out, who were the big winners today, or at least this weekend, I would tell you that Cincinnati, even though, as you mentioned, Adam, didn't play this weekend, they came out all right. You got the Colts losing, you got the Broncos maybe losing, you got the Ravens and Chargers playing each other, so obviously someone's going to lose there. You got the Texans, who figured to still win the AFC South, but they lost. So you got Pittsburgh losing. You know what? And if you look at that Cincinnati Bungles, as I like to call them, schedule, it's not that bad. You look at the other AFC North schedules, and they're all monsters. But they got Pittsburgh next week at home, though. That's the key. You win that game, then you got Dallas, Houston Texans, and a down-and-out Cleveland Browns team at home. And then the Broncos even at home. So, I could see, Cincinnati after each loss, Baltimore or the Chargers this past week, last week, you just being down and out, say, all right, that's it. We're done. We stink. It's not happening. But every time that, you're ready to write them off, then things, tend to break their way. So if they can just, get over that hump, win a couple of games, I think they're the most dangerous team still. I'm still going to go there that could upset the apple cart and knock off Kansas City. So I think they're very much alive, Joe. What about you?
Yeah, I think they're alive here. I look at the Houston Texans and the Denver Broncos sitting in spot number 6 and 7, and I think they are susceptible to teams like the Cincinnati Bengals to fire up the list here. You look at the Indianapolis Colts too. This is a tricky team. Yes, they had that big loss today, but the Colts have had 6 losses this season within 3 points. So they're a team that, even though we don't trust them that much, you guys, might just surpass the Texans.
We'll take a glance at the NFC when we come back, as well as update you on games that are going on. Currently, there are 3 of them looking for some more points, some more chaos here on IGL.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on Sports Grid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on Sports Grid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like and be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on Sports Grid.
Back with Scott and Joe. All right, so we were just talking about the AFC playoff picture as things stand right now, knowing that obviously it is rapidly evolving. Over in the NFC, we keep talking about how the Niners, they're fighting for their season. The Rams later tonight against the Eagles, same story. You're 1 through 7 right now, teams that would be in the playoffs if we snapped our fingers and the season ended. You have the Lions, the Eagles, the Cardinals, the Falcons, Vikings, Packers, Commanders in that order. And then after that, on the outside looking in, Rams, Seahawks, Niners, all sitting at 5-5. The Buccaneers, who had an impressive win today and are getting healthier. Mike Evans came back today, 5-6. And then you have a drop-off, I think, anyway, in what's a very, Joe, crowded conference where you get to the Saints, the Bears, even the Cowboys, after their win today, are sitting at 4-7. Would you entertain Saints, Bears, Cowboys, or do you stop after the likes of, obviously, the Rams, Seahawks, Niners, Bucks?
Scott, what do you think?
Joe, I think we got muted. We missed you, Scott. Or Joe.
Oh, okay. I
didn't know you were talking to me. I thought you were throwing to Scott. I apologize. There's no way I'm touching the Cowboys, right? I'm not touching the Cowboys at all. I think, yes, they got the win today, and yes, they'll get the win versus the Giants on Thanksgiving, but I'm not having faith in this team. They just look so terrible out there. Now, the New Orleans Saints are an interesting one because we know Derek Carr can be solid in some of the games out. He can be so erratic with his arm and throw those interceptions. I do think the Rams, with Sean McVay, the head coach there, have every ability. They're sitting right on the edge looking in, sitting in that 8th spot. That's where I would be looking. And who do I think they would knock out? Well, that Washington Commanders team is looking good, but Jaden Daniels still isn't 100%. So I could see the Rams taking their spot for sure. What about you, Scott?
Yeah, I tell you, Washington obviously is the key, right? Figure they're not going to win the division, so they're the last wild card at 7-5, but they've lost 3 in a row. I mean, and they just lost to Dallas. So we can look at their schedule and say, well, it's not that bad, but, when you can lose to Dallas at home, how could you pencil them in as an automatic win anywhere? So as much as I agree with you, John, Dallas stinks, right? They're not going to get there. The Bears, and, I would include Saints. I would definitely include. If all the dominoes fall the right way, you got Washington losing, right? You could see the Rams lose to Philadelphia tonight. Now they're 5-6. Seattle loses to Arizona. They're 5-6. Tampa Bay's 5-6. And all of a sudden, these teams that are even 4-7, as bad as they are with 5 games left, mathematically, are they like going this week saying we're done, the season's over, like the New York Giants or Carolina Panthers? No, I think they realistically have playoff hopes. I don't know what we're going to get out of this Washington team. We talked about it. Their offense has not been good the last few weeks. They've lost 3 in a row. They got some winnable games coming up, but I can't pencil them in as automatic wins. So, I wouldn't necessarily be putting money on them, but, Bears find a way to win, through, a couple weeks ago against Washington. They have a chance to win today in overtime. They get the ball first. They can't win, but maybe a couple of wins here. I think a team under 500 is going to get in the NFC. I don't think that in the AFC, though.
Just some updates, and comes in the variety of field goals. The Raiders have tacked on a field goal to go up 10-6, and if you still believe in Denver, you can get the Broncos inside a field goal, -2.5 in that one. But again, down by 4. That game still has about 3 minutes to go in the opening half. So long way. Cardinals have struck first in Seattle, a field goal. 3-0 Arizona is leading, -1.5 still the Cardinals here in this one. And the Packers are in the red zone, looking to absolutely embarrass the Niners today. That game still midway through the second quarter. It's already 10-0 Green Bay. And on the cusp of more, Green Bay is now laying 17.5 as things sit at this moment. I want to go back, though, to what we were just saying with the NFC and tie it into a game that happened earlier today, Scott and Joe, because this is a game not interesting in reality, interesting going into it, and that was the Lions and the Colts. Now, what wound up being a very convincing win, obviously, for Detroit, 24-6 in this one. Jared Goff, 269 passing, did not have a touchdown. Run game, great again. 90 yards on the ground for Gibbs. He had a couple of touchdowns. Montgomery scored a rushing touchdown, was limited to 37 rushing yards, albeit on only 8 carries. Balanced offense in terms of the receiving game. You had Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tim Patrick, all with north of 4 catches and 50-plus yards. And then Montgomery, Brock Wright, Sam Laporta, all involved in the receiving game as well. But I bring this one up for a couple of reasons. One, the Lions obviously are 10-1, like the counterpart Chiefs in the AFC, leading their conference. But also, I mean, this is a game, I don't know how you guys felt about it going in, but this is people just kept saying to me, Colts plus 7.5, Colts plus 7.5. They're not great against mobile quarterbacks. It's a letdown spot. It's a look-ahead week. You know, tough Thanksgiving matchup on the way here in division. They got the Bears next. We should really entertain the Colts. They don't lose in lopsided fashions, haven't lost a game by more than 10 points this year. I had the Colts plus 8 and felt like the CLV was on my side. I wish, Scott, I had them at plus 18 because that's what they lost by. The Lions are legit.
They are. They're a machine. I mean, I'm in the Mark Lawrence contest, and I put Detroit now every single week as you get 2 picks, a 2-pointer and a 1-pointer. I don't even think about it anymore. Give me the Lions. I don't care where they are. I don't care where they're playing, how they're playing, what the point, favorite, underdog, whatever the case may be. They are just a covering machine. 44-18 against the spread last 3 years. By far the best. Indoors, great. Road favorites, great. I mean, I can bore you to tears with the numbers. All they do is win. All these upsets today and all these potential upsets today and crazy finishes, right? And what's the one constant? Detroit Lions winning by double digits in a no-brainer, 10-1. It's amazing.
Yeah, they really are. They've been completely lights out there. And I know we all had concerns when Aiden Hutchinson went out of the lineup on the defensive side of the ball, but this team hasn't even blinked twice. They've been able to come out and dominate. Adam, I was right there with you with the Colts. I had them plus the 7.5, and man, that did hurt. I did think they'd keep it within the number. The Lions, they're going to keep steamrolling, you guys. It's going to be a great Thanksgiving day for them, I'm sure.
As Brady Cannon likes to say, it was a hold your nose and try not to throw up in your mouth kind of play. I didn't like it. I wish I hadn't bet it, and I paid for it quite literally. We'll be back.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on Sports Grid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on Sports Grid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on Sports Grid.
We are back in Game Live Pro Football Game Day. And so we were just talking about the Niners' utter domination of the NFL, at the very least the NFC. The Packers trying to do their best impression today against the San Francisco 49ers. It's ugly. Another touchdown. This one, Josh Jacobs. It was a 1-yard run. Turns it into what is now a 17-0 game, guys. Green Bay is leading this one. 6.5 minutes to go in the opening half. Jordan Love has not had to do much, but he's 8 of 12, 93 passing yards with a touchdown to Tucker Kraft very early on. Romeo Doubs, 3 for 54 in the air. Jacobs, 17 carries already, 70 yards and a touchdown. Starting to work in the likes of Bo Melton and Emmanuel Wilson. I know we're not at the half, Joe, but oftentimes when we do get there, we start to look at live betting opportunities in terms of player props. And I don't know, should we start to be looking at these backup running backs for Green Bay when it comes to killing clock in the second half and overs there?
Yeah, definitely when we get to the second half of this game, but I can't have them slow this down a lot, Adam. I have the team total for the Green Bay Packers over 25.5, and I do think it's something that you could look at their live total now. I'm just going to find it and pull it up. They're sitting at 30.5. It hasn't gone up by that much. I think we can see another touchdown out of them in this first half of that game. And then in the second half, yes, they're going to slow it down, but we're going to see those opportunities for them to have to get on the clock, because I think at some point the 49ers will push this game. So I don't hate the over 30.5 for the Green Bay Packers for that team total. Live right now, again, it was 25.5 pregame. The San Francisco 49ers, if you think they have a hope in this game, you guys, there's a live line for them for their team total of 13.5. Do they get those touchdowns on the board? Just 2 touchdowns pushes us over that. Scott, I don't know if I can trust this team with what we've seen so far. We just did see a nice connection between Allen and Kittle. I've got Kittle for the anytime touchdown. I trust Kittle to get things done. Actually, sorry, that was not Kittle. I did not see who it was. The blonde hair was not flowing there, Scott, but I thought we got that connection with Kittle. What do you think? Can we get 2 touchdowns out of the 49ers today? Because that's minus 110 to the over.
Yeah,
Can we get 2 rushing yards out of Christian McCaffrey? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and how long before? Listen, it's only the second quarter, but, reality has to be sitting in on the San Francisco sidelines, right? It's like, do we want to keep these guys, especially McCaffrey? I'd be careful with him. Here's a guy that, he sneezes the wrong way and he's going to get hurt. What's the point of keeping him in a game that's going to be maybe 24-0 or so, right? So be careful with the McCaffrey props and maybe some of these other starters as well. I mean, they got 1 first down. We got 5 minutes left to go in the second quarter, and they got 1 first down. Maybe it flips a little bit second half. Maybe they put Dobbs in there, and that'll help them a little bit. But I wouldn't be betting 2 touchdowns with San Francisco. It is seemingly easy as that is. Not the way the Packers can run the ball and everything and maybe just deflate San Francisco. So I'd be careful. If anything, I'd take a flyer on the under. Your favorite little college prop I don't see, Joe, and that's to win by a shutout. I don't see that here unless I'm missing it. But we always play those in college football games. But I can see 27-0, 27-3, something like that, as your final score here.
That would be fun. That definitely would be fun for them to win by that shutout. I'm not seeing it either. I'm looking across all of the different tabs because we know there's just 100 different tabs right now on FanDuel. Game specials might have it, I was thinking, if anything, but still not seeing it under those game specials. So if anyone watching out there has it on their books, let us know on the X machine what you're getting that for. Adam, do you see it anywhere?
I don't see it thus far. I do see another field goal out of the Denver Broncos. Bo Nix, I guess to his credit, he's not leading any touchdown drives, but he is leading scoring drives to keep Denver very much in this game. It is 10-9 now. That is a trio of field goals for the Broncos in this game. Raiders getting the ball back, continue to lead, less than a minute to go opening half. So we'll be able to look at some player props in that one in a little bit. Niners, again, with the ball, just getting rattled and destroyed. 17-0 at Lambeau at the moment. 5 minutes to go first half. And the Cardinals, lowest scoring game of the day and not even close. 3-0. Arizona is leading at Seattle. I don't know if this is a defensive masterclass or an embarrassment on the part of the offenses or a combination of the two, but it is not pretty football there in Seattle. 4 and change to go. still in the first half in that one. Some light for the Niners, though. Allen found Deebo Samuel for 21 yards, and they are out to the Green Bay 18. So in the red zone, San Francisco with, again, 4:20 to play, first half. Maybe, just maybe, points are coming. We'll see.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on Sports Grid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on Sports Grid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on Sports Grid.
We're back. This is In-Game Live Pro Football Game Day. Scott Wetzel, Joe Madden, I am Adam Kaufman. We're hanging out with you. We've got, check at the clock, about 2.5 more hours. A lot of football talk. We'll continue to pick through some of the games that happened earlier. It's a light slate, obviously, this week in general, with 6 teams on bye. It's going to be a miraculous stretch that we have coming up, though, with it being Thanksgiving week. We'll have 4 games between Thursday and Friday, the 3 on Turkey Day, 1 on Black Friday, a loaded Sunday, Monday Night Football as usual. So everybody plays, no buys. It'll be a lot of fun. And obviously, right around the corner, starting to get to preview those games. We got to get through week 12 first, and a very interesting and impactful and underdog kind of motivated week 12. But if I could for a second scratch an itch here, Scott and Joe, I'm upset with myself for not, ultimately believing enough in my own convictions and sort of getting too cute. And what I mean by that is in the spirit of like parlays, not straights. Straights, as we all know, parlays in general, if you're fortunate enough to be a profitable parlay bettor, or if you sprinkle them and you're profitable there, great. Generally speaking, parlays are a losing proposition, which is why, people always tell you the money is in betting straights. So that's all well and good. But when it comes to parlaying favorites together on an NFL Sunday, and, we saw the Commanders probably sink a healthy amount of them. The Texans went down against the Titans. Teams like that, the big favorites are all well and good. But a couple of the games that I liked the best that were not massive favorites. And the Niners, by the way, are in the red zone still. They have not scored, just so people know I haven't not given you an update. A couple of the spots that I liked the best that were not, again, gigantic favorites that I wish I had been that much more invested in, because I really, in my heart of hearts, anything can go sideways. But the way I saw it going in, I didn't see these games going the other way. And thus far, they haven't. One was the Buccaneers earlier today against Tommy DeVito and the New York Giants. I thought that was going to be an absolute romp. I did not understand the 5.5-point line. That should have been a 10-point spread. And then the other one, this Packers spot against Brandon Allen. And I know there's a lot of talent on the Niners, and there's desperation for San Francisco. I just don't think, and I say this right now, still in the opening half, but a 17-point lead for Green Bay, I just don't think there is enough there without Brock Purdy to help kind of game manage the ship, if you will, Joe. And so I'm upset with myself for not believing enough in my own convictions to invest in the plays that I really liked, as opposed to over-investing and getting too cute in some of the spots that honestly were the public spots.
Yeah, it always feels bad sitting there with the public, right? Because we know Vegas is around for a reason, and you do have to be careful with those parlays. And parlays are something that I don't like to take, 3 or 4 favorites and parlay them together just to get the win straight up on the money line. Because I think by the end of the day, yes, you'll make money if you bet that. But like we see, those favorites get upset. And if you're taking 3 or 4 of those favorites within a parlay, then something is going to happen in one of those games, and you're going to be kicking yourself why that one leg didn't cash. I like more looking at the props. And if you're really convicted on one team, looking at that team, looking at their props and what you think is going to happen for that other team as well, Adam, and throwing one of those in. Because as soon as you're doing a same game parlay and you throw in a team, a prop from the other team, it's going to boost those odds way up. So different ways to look at those parlays, but I definitely can't put a minus, 200 favorite with another minus 200 favorite just to get the win. And I know some people make a lot of money that way, but it's just not for me. What about you, Scott?
Yeah, I love parlays, and I did same thing with you, Adam. I like Tampa Bay as well. That's a strange team that seems to play a lot better on the road than they do at home. And you just didn't know what you were getting out of Tommy Cutlets, right? Say what you want about him, but he was 3-3 last year, and believe it or not. So, was he going to come in and provide a spark? But, reading the articles all week, living here in the York, New Jersey area, the players were so ticked off this week. They were upset. They loved Danny Nichols, as I like to call him. They thought the Giants were tanking on the rest of the season, which they probably are. And, thinking about it, I didn't want to lay the 5.5, 6 that much. Played him a little bit, but man, after the first drive or two, you realize, you know what, this is not the guy that won a couple games last year, 3 games. The Giants looked awful today. They really did. He had 31 yards passing midway through the third quarter. Finished with over 100, but it was just garbage time stuff. So I agree with you. That was the one where it's like, you know what, I should have pulled the trigger. And then the other one was the Dolphins over the Patriots. I mean, a gazillion trends showing these are the games Miami does well with 2 attacks. They beat the crap out of the bad teams. They struggle against the good teams. They were at home. They needed to win. Everyone wanted them to win. Having to play the Green Bay Packers on Thanksgiving Day sets that matchup to mean something. That's the one where it's like, you know what, I should have put a big bundle on them as well.
Yeah, and honestly, historically, and Patriots fans know this for anyone out there listening that is a New Englander, the Patriots are just a bucket of yuck in Miami, and it has been that way since Tom Brady was here. Tom Brady struggled in Miami when he was a Patriot, and so like Cam Newton and Bailey Zappi and Mac Jones and Drake May was going to be any different? Maybe eventually. Not today. Wasn't going to be any different today with that offense. And so, yeah, they got handled. And so this is where I get to, talk out of both. As much as I believed and continue to believe, by the way, in the Packers today and this spot against San Francisco, I am invested in the playoffs. And at this moment, I'm rooting for a San Francisco for a touchdown. George Kittle on the board, a short 3-yard score. And so, guys, 17-7. Packers are leading this one, Joe. Do you have any faith in the Niners to, rally here? Still a minute to go in the opening half.
Yeah, like I said before, that plus 12.5 that you were able to get them when they were down, before they put this touchdown on the board, it's still hanging there, plus the 12.5. And I think they finished within this number. I'm happy to see George Kittle get in the end zone because he was one of the 3 legs of my same game parlay. I still need Romeo Doubs and Jordan Love to get in the end zone for the Green Bay Packers. And the Packers, with this touchdown here by the 49ers, they should continue to push, especially in the rest of this half here. They got a minute left. I would jump in on the plus 12.5. I think that little bit of momentum here will be enough to kick the 49ers into gear. I still don't see them winning it. If you really think that miracle is coming, plus 830 here for the 49ers to get the win, but I think they can cover the 12.5 spread. So I'm still on that. I invested on that early in this game when the Packers went up, but I think the Packers end up winning this at the end of the day. What about you, Scott?
Yeah, listen, I'd rather go into halftime up 17-0 or 20-0, but 17-7, if it ends up being, that's not the worst thing in the world. It really isn't. Sometimes you're up 17-0 or 20-0 if they kick a field goal here. You know, then in their eyes, the ball game's over. You know, how can a head coach be yelling and screaming when you're pitching a shutout, right? And you just get to the false premise of, okay, the game's over. Now it's 17-7. All right, you know what? San Fran gets the ball also to start the second half. And if you're Matt LaFleur, you got something to yell and scream about. You know, your starters are still motivated. It's still a ball game. So I'm still okay with Green Bay, laying the 12.5. Kudos. You got yourself a touchdown. Knock yourself out. And you know what? I'd rather have Brandon Allen stay in the game than I would Joshua Dobbs as well. Because I know what I got in Brandon Allen. I don't think he's any good. At least Joshua Dobbs can show you a little something. So good. Score your touchdown. That's fine. Keep the number. Keep it a competitive game. Keep all the starters in for Green Bay. Keep them all motivated. And win this one in the end, maybe 27-10, something like that.
You guys are never going to believe this. Brace yourselves. I'm glad you're sitting down. We have a touchdown in the Arizona-Seattle game. Seahawks are on the board with the score. JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba with a short touchdown. And so Seattle has taken a 7-3 lead in this one. Less than 2 minutes to go in the opening half. So, again, keep saying it. Long way to go, but a sign of offense, a sign of life in this game. We'll look at some live lines when we return here on Sports Grid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on Sports Grid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on Sports Grid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like and be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on Sports Grid.
All right, so as mentioned, JSN a touchdown for the Seahawks. Seattle late in the opening half, now leading Arizona at home 7-3, and the Seahawks have moved to 3.5-point favorites in this one on the live line. The Raiders and Broncos halftime, and Las Vegas up at home again, home of the F1 this weekend, 13-9. Although the Broncos are still favorites on the live line at 1.5. And the Packers, Niners, that game down to a 10.5-point spread in the waning seconds of the first half. But as we always like to do at halftime, and since we have a game, Scott and Joe, at halftime, let's look at some of the potential live betting player prop opportunities in this Broncos and Raiders game. Again, it is a close game, a 4-point game, the home team the favorite at the moment, and FanDuel, good spot to take a look at when it comes to live player props, as mentioned, and opportunities to invest there. I'm looking, Gardner Minshew is sitting at 117 passing. His live line is 210.5. Bo Nix at 129. His live line is 252.5. If we stay on the QBs for a moment, Joe, of the two, I think I'm more interested in Bo Nix, but where do you fall?
Okay, firstly, I have to tell you, Jordan Love's number dropped to 179.5. He only has 93 before that last pass. I do think you jump on that for the Packers game. Brandon Allen's actually thrown more passing yards than him by like 1 or 2. When we look at this game here, the Raiders versus the Denver Broncos, Bo Nix and Gardner Minshew, I know what you're saying there, Adam. I do think both of these players, especially with the Denver Broncos down at the half here, we got to see Bo Nix be able to pass that ball more. He's only got 129, 252.5. You're not getting the value we're getting pregame, but I do think he's on pace and should get over that number, especially with them down. One thing I'm really interested, though, we're talking about those quarterbacks, the interceptions. Looking at the second half of the game, who do we have more faith in to throw that interception, right? Because Bo Nix to throw an interception plus 174. We know they've come out of him. Gardner Minshew can throw those interceptions left, right, and center, you guys. If he throws one, it's plus 205. I'm on the edge, Scott. Which one to bet? Where would you go for an anytime interception? Which quarterback do you think does it?
Listen, I would do both. Just do half a unit on one, half a unit on the other, and assume one of these two guys is going to throw an interception, and you're going to win money, right? Any kind of luck, they both do. So I would probably that's what I would do rather than just pick one. The one prop I do like in this game is rushing. Javonte Williams, he has 1 yard rushing so far. They got him listed as 16.5 yards. He's a guy that averages 40, 50, sometimes 60 yards. He had 63 in their first game. He's got 1 on 4 carries. So I got to believe he's going to get 15, 16 yards in the second half, right? I mean, he's their main running back. So close game. It's not like they're down 3 scores where they're not going to be running the ball. I mean, he can get that on 1 carry. So really like that over Javonte Williams, 16.5 yards rushing.
Joe, anything interest you in the rushing or receiving market?
Yeah, looking at the rushing and receiving market, Brock Bowers here for those receiving yards, his numbers right now, he's got 16. It's dropped down to 41.5. And I do think Brock Bowers is such a pivotal player out there for Gardner Minshew to get that ball to. I would be looking at him for those short passes. He is able to catch a couple of deep ones. We've seen him have those longer receptions as well. So Brock Bowers is someone I would target here for his receiving yards for the Raiders over 41.5. And Scott just said it, looking at Williams to go over that number, he is constantly out there being able to put the yards up on the ground. Now, Bo Nix as well, his numbers dropped. It was 21.5 rushing yards coming into this game. He's put up 5 rushing yards so far. So his live number is 14.5. I would lean to the over on that as well at minus 122. We know Bo Nix has every ability to scramble with his legs, and I do think he can do so. Now, looking at the touchdown scoring market, I know we haven't seen those touchdowns coming in, but you're getting great value here. Bo Nix, I think, can rush it in at plus 550. And I was high on Brock Bowers coming into this game as well to be able to get in the end zone. So his live number is plus 600. I don't know. Maybe we should be looking at kicking props, though, you guys. We're only getting it for Lutz here. Lutz has 9 points kicking right now. 12.5 is his number at minus 136. What are your thoughts, Adam?
I've never really thought much about in-game kicker props. I'll be honest. That's not not a market I've spent a lot of time on. So I'd have to put a little bit more thought into that one. So he's sitting at 9, 12.5. I mean, I don't think the scoring is done, obviously, and the way these offenses have sort of stalled in between the 20s, if you will, I think field goals are certainly very plausible, and especially for Denver, where Bo Nix has had a hard time sort of completing those drives and getting touchdowns. I think I would go over on Lutz and looking for 4 more points out of him. Another field goal, and all it takes is one field goal and a touchdown there for Denver to get that extra point, or multiple field goals, obviously. I like that. I can get on board with that play, Scott.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing, Adam. Right? It's not normally an icon I'll hit out of the 5,000 that these websites give you, right? But you're right. He's got 3 already. Are they going to score like 2 touchdowns and he's not going to get a field goal opportunity? Probably not, right? All of a sudden the offense is going to be able to click in the red zone. So little juicy, minus 136, but that's all right. You just win less. Bet the same, but just win a little less. So, yeah, I would go over 12.5. And I like Vele. He's becoming more and more part of this Broncos offense. He has 64 yards. They're giving you right around 84 or so, about 20 yards left in the second half. He's becoming a bigger and bigger part of this Broncos offense, the rookie out of Utah. So I like his number as well.
We could pick this one up on the other side, but the Packers and Niners have entered the half as well, with Green Bay ahead 17-7 after, of course, that touchdown late in the opening half by, San Francisco getting on the board there. And so Christian McCaffrey, this is the one that I'm not saying, pardon me, it's a good bet. I just keep staring at it. Christian McCaffrey has 4 rushing yards. 4.
Wow.
His live line is 34.5, guys. He could do that on 1 run. It's 34.5 in a game that he's going to run. He's going to run, at least for right now, because they're not down by 17, they're down by 10. So San Francisco is not going to abandon its offensive game plan, and I can't imagine the offensive game plan is run this thing through Brandon Allen. So CMC is going to get some looks. It's going to get some opportunities. I think we're getting a discount because he barely had the ball in that first quarter, and they're still quite literally playing catch-up. I think about it. 30...
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on Sports Grid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on Sports Grid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on Sports Grid.
We are back again. Scott, Joe, I am Adam, and taking a look at some of the halftime live prop betting opportunities, in particular, the game that we are focused on right now, the Packers and the Niners. So, Scott, I was just talking about this CMC number, which has not budged in the couple of minutes we've been away. He has 4 rushing yards, 34.5 is where you can invest at minus 115. This gets into the territory of tell yourself a story and game script, and how is this going to play out in half number 2 with San Francisco down by 10 points in Green Bay? It is at Lambeau. What do you think? What do you think of that number?
Yeah, I mean, that is enticing, right? It's not like he's got 10 carries for 15 yards and hasn't been able to produce. I mean, as a whole, the offense until that last drive hasn't been able to produce. So he's only got a couple of carries. So you would think 34 yards, that would be the lowest over the last 2+ seasons as a San Francisco 49er. So is this going to be one of those where, he's going to set like all-time lows for him as a Niner anyway? I kind of doubt it. Even if you go to the alternate rushing prop area, you can get him at 40 yards, 7 yards more. In fact, it just went down to 34.5. You can get him for 6 more yards at 40 yards or more at plus 115. You want to go up to 50 yards, which is about, where he should normally get, right? 50, 60 yards with some receiving as well, plus 220. That last touchdown means a lot to me. That means, okay, they went into that locker room, little momentum. They got to feel a little more comfortable. We got a little something going. They get the ball to start the second half. So I would go as high as 50, Adam and Joe. I'll give you the plus 210, 220. Go a little bit, the normal number, the over 34.5, but just bump it up to 250 to plus to 210 with the 50 yards or more rushing. What about you, Joe?
Joe, what do you think?
I was just saying, sorry guys, I had myself muted. I'm with you, Scott. I really do think he can get close to that 50 mark. So you're getting a great price here. Ulting that number 250 plus at plus 210. We're also seeing his longest run. And I think the longest run market is interesting. Now it is juicy. Over 10.5 for that longest run at minus 128. We know that he can go off and get a huge run in this game. So I think that seems like easy money here, which I know no money is easy money to come by when you're betting on sports, but 10.5, come on, he has to go over that in one big run out there on the field. So I do have faith in him there, and I still think that he can get in the end zone a couple of times today for the 49ers. I think this game ends in a higher scoring game. I think the 49ers find a bit of rhythm in the second half, and that live total of 44.5, I'm willing to take it over at minus 128 as well. So the book's not giving us much value on the over on that one, but I do think it happens here, Adam.
So as I sit hypocritically here and, knowing full well that we're talking about rushing and entertaining the passing side, because San Francisco is down by 10 points, they're going to be passing the ball. The guys that we have, so Jennings is at 15 yards. His line is sit at 34 or 38.5, pardon me. Kittle, 30, 50.5. Samuel, 21, 41.5. McCaffrey, 14, 29.5. Scott, the two that I like best would be CMC getting another 15 and Jennings getting another, let's just round it up and call it 25. I like those more than Kittle and Samuel, but how do you feel, and would you invest in any of them?
Yeah, I like same thing. Listen, it's chalky. It definitely is, but I like the McCaffrey one, because I'm guessing they're going into that locker room saying, one thing. We got to get the ball to McCaffrey more. Whether it's throwing it to him, whether it's running. We've only run 4 times. That's not getting the job done right now. We're down 2 scores. So let's throw the ball to him. I would be absolutely shocked if he doesn't get at least his rushing or passing prop. Especially when they're getting the ball first, and especially with that last touchdown. You got like 2 touchdowns by Green Bay before you really start calling out the dogs if you're San Francisco. That would realistically be the only way, but they got to get the ball in his arms, and chances are halfway decent you cash in on both. So I would play over his rushing and over his receiving. Again, I know it's chalky. He's the main guy. I get all that stuff, but there's a reason why he's the main guy. I think that's a safe bet to get at least a split, and then they kind of luck double winners, Joe.
Well, I hope you guys invested in that interception by Gardner Minshew because he just threw it. The defense of the the Denver Broncos weren't able to run it all the way back, but it looked like they were going to be able to get that defensive pick 6 on the board. So Gardner Minshew, anytime interception coming in and cashing nicely. And I'm with you. I love where you guys are going on those receiving props there for the 49ers, but I also think you got to look at the Packers because if the 49ers score first, Packers are going to throw the Romeo dogs in the over 67.5.
Here's the fun, Joe. Denver 2nd and 10 with the Vegas 18. Coming